Now that we have gone through clause 34 related to the mediations, clause 35 related to the expert determinations, clause 36 related to the adjudications, and clause 37 related to arbitrations. These are the 4 clauses related to dispute resolutions as given in PAM contract. In these videos, we're going to make a summary based on the information disclosed in PAM Contract 2018. The purpose here is to give you an overview in terms of the differences as well as the unique characteristics. Now let us look into it one by one. We have mediations, we have expert determinations, we have adjudications, and we have arbitrations. When we talk about the dispute resolutions, it means that there is a disagreement between the contractors and the employer. As the PAM contract by fundamentals is dealing with the contractual relationship between the employer and the contractor. Now any of the party is disagreeing with the outcome as decided by the architect and quantity surveyor. And this dispute cannot be resolved at the employer and the contractor level. They are standing so firm that no side would like to give way to the other side. As a result, this will require a third party to be involved. Depending on the type of dispute resolutions, the person involved are different. For mediations, it shall involve a mediator. For expert determinations, an expert shall involve. For adjudications, an adjudicator will involve. For arbitrations, there will be an arbitrator. As implied in PAM contract here, one person shall be sufficient. Based on the principles here, in order to trigger these dispute resolutions, there should be a written agreement from both sides to have this to be taken into effect. Then they will have to agree on the persons being appointed as the third party to facilitate the process. Now if they cannot come to an agreement, they will have to apply to the presidents of the Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia, which is PAM, for the appointments of this third party to facilitate the process. Now the durations given here differ slightly, which is generally 21 days, except for expert determinations, which is only 14 days. In terms of the matter of dispute, when we read between the lines, we will see that for mediations, it can be related to the second versions of the final account. This one is because the first version here, after the dispute is arise, architect and QS will try to resolve it. If they still do not agree with the final account, after the review of the architect and quantity surveyor, then this can trigger the mediations. As for the expert determinations, the dispute can be on all matters, and this process can be triggered at any time of the project. Now when it comes to the adjudications, this one is more related to the dispute on the set off by the employer, and when this dispute arises before the practical completions of the work. It was stated here, before the practical completions, the dispute will have to refer to adjudication first. If the dispute can be resolved at the adjudications level, there is no need to proceed for the arbitrations. But if cannot be resolved, the decisions by the adjudicator is still binding. The disputing party will have to abide to the decisions until the practical completions, and then brought the case forward for the arbitrations. In order to trigger these arbitrations, Within 6 weeks of the decisions from the adjudicator, written notice for the intention should be given. So, the adjudications, it will be related to the word or dispute before the practical completions. Next one is about the arbitrations. We know that this only triggers after the practical completions or after the determinations of contractor's employment or after the contractors has abandoned the work. That means when the contractors has no more pending works related to the project, then the arbitrations may trigger. I believe the main reason it will be these arbitrations may take longer time, that PAM do not have the intention to have the work affected solely due to the reason that the contractor wait for the decisions from the arbitrations. To prevent the progress of the works is significantly affected, they make it blanket. When the contractor is no longer in the project, then the arbitrations can take place. Now, in terms of the matter being disputed, there is a list of the item here. It is mainly related to the matters with the contract or any matters that left for the descriptions of the architect or any certificate being withheld by the architect which the contractor feel he may be entitled to, or any unreasonable withholding of the consent or agreement by employer or the contractor, or dispute related to the rights and liability of the contractors or the employer under the circumstances related to the determinations of the employments of the contractor, as well as outbreak of the hostility and also war damage. We see the dispute may also be due to the liquidated damage, set-off and interest. Regarding the guidelines, for mediations, there is PAM mediation rules. For expert determinations, there is PAM expert determinations rules. For adjudications, there is PAM adjudications rules. As for arbitrations, there is PAM arbitration rules plus one more item, which is Arbitrations Act 2005. There's one more thing that you need to know, which is related to the mediations and expert determinations. It is said that the mediations or the expert determinations cannot be the pre-requirement to trigger the adjudications and arbitrations. It is not a must that before you enter the adjudications or arbitrations, you have to go through these two. This is not compulsory, which at the same time, the existence of the mediations and expert determinations shall not restrict the adjudications and arbitrations. It means that if you are able to resolve at this level, that will be good. If this level cannot be resolved, having this already in place cannot prevent the trigger of these two. If these two cannot be resolved, you may refer the case to adjudications and arbitrations.